In this quick video, we'll take a look at pattern-based systems. We started a brand new drawing, and in the level 1 view, we'll go to Massing in Sight and In Place Mass. You'll get a dialog box that says that the mass will need to be turned on, so you can go ahead and close out of that dialog box. And then you can call your mass a different name if you'd like. I'll call this one Mass 1. And now we're going to create, using spline through points, our first spline, which will be on level 1. And then go to level 2 and create another spline. This can be another shape that's up above the first one. And then go to the 3D view, and you'll see that you have two splines, one on level 1 and one on level 2. If we select both of them and pick Create Form, Solid Form, you're creating here a surface. You can change your visual display to shaded so that you can see that surface that's created. Before we finish the mass, we can pick the edges and use these shape handles to modify the surface. We're going to take a look at the pattern base though, so let's go ahead and select the surface, making sure you have the surface selected and not the edge, and then pick Divide Surface. When you divide the surface, you'll have a U grid and a V grid. So if you wanted to turn on and off these, you could end up with panels in different shapes and sizes because of the U grid and V grid here displayed in the options bar. If you notice, when you select the surface, there's no pattern that's applied to it. So I'll go ahead and drop this list down, and you can experiment with different patterns, but for this example I'll pick Triangle Flat. Right now we just have a surface that has a pattern that is represented here on the mass, but we don't have geometry yet until we create a panel and then apply it to this surface. You have other controls here for turning on and off the surface and the pattern. So I'll go ahead and pick Finish Mass. And you'll get a warning that says that you are creating a surface, so you won't be able to compute mass floors, volume, and surface area because it's not a solid. I'll go ahead and close out of that warning dialog box, and we've created here a surface that has a pattern that's displayed on it. What we'll do now is create a new family that we can use as a base for our panels. We'll go over to New and Family, and we'll use the Curtain Panel Pattern Base. We can go ahead and double click there. We're inside this panel, which is actually represented in the divided surface. Select the pattern grid, and then under Properties you can change its shape. Here I'll go to Triangle Flat. Now this triangle only represents one panel of the divided surface that we created. And to show you this, I'm going to select it, pick Create Form and Solid Form, and then only create a surface here so that we have a surface. Now when we load it into our project, you won't see it at first. What we'll need to do is go to the 3D view, select your mass, and then pick Edit and Place. Now we're inside the mass. We can now select this divided surface. In the Properties, under Triangular Flat, you'll see that family that you created. You could save the family if you'd like, but for this example I'm using Family 2. And now I've applied a triangular pattern to my mass surface. I can go ahead and finish the mass, and now it's a triangular piece of geometry that's been applied to this divided surface. And now if you rest your pointer over this mass and use your tab key, you'll see that there's a curtain panel that's inside this divided surface. Now to really customize these panels, I'll go back to the family by picking Control Tab, and I'm going to select this surface and pick dissolve. And then with my control key held down, I'll select each one of these adaptive points or reference points and then copy them. I'll pick copy. You can do this in a side view, front right view if you'd like, but I'll just go ahead and copy them from here to here. And then you can hold your left mouse button down on these points and drag them into place, creating here a different form. I can now pick reference and use reference lines to make sure I have 3D snapping on and draw a line from each one of these references, creating here another surface, so that when I select all of these, I can pick create form, solid form, and now I've actually created here a unique panel with height. And so you can see the endless possibilities of what type of shape that you can create based on the pattern grid and your design of the panel. You can save this file into your folders so that you can use it again. I'm going to load this back into the project. It's going to ask me if I want to override the existing, which I do. And now going to the 3D view, you'll see that that shape is applied to my panel. So with these tools, you can create unique forms in your design. This is an introduction to adaptive components. We can also use parameters with formulas combined with the massing tools that we learned in the last video to create unique forms in our design.